Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley again in Washington, D.C., calling your attention, as always, to Tarpley.net. Tarpley.net, interesting new things up there this weekend and more to come. So stay in touch at Tarpley.net. Now, continuing, we have gone through what amounts to a phase change. This is a true historical watershed this past week. We have had 3 years of Obama hysteria, Obama mania. The left liberals have outdone themselves in their insane personality cult. The lemming legions have been on the march for Obama. We haven't seen them in a while. But now, this past week, the phase change, the shock of recognition. For many of them, they realize Obama is an enemy. It's not just that Obama won't fight. He will fight. He will attack his own base. He will betray them, stab them in the back. And you can see now as it goes forward, the mission is obviously to cripple and destroy what's left of the Democratic Party, to implement a ferocious austerity. And naturally, it is scant comfort to me to look back and say, I told you so. Somehow I told you so just doesn't render the adequate idea. But nevertheless, we welcome certain left liberals back to humanity after the 3 years, the 1,000 days that they've spent as thralls of Obama's hypnotic spell. So now we have the problem of dump Obama. And this past week, we've got an explosion of discussions, things that you used to only see at Tarpley.net, about how to dump Obama and use the anti-war movement to try to energize the process of dumping Obama. This is now broken into the media. Now let's look into it. The question of the primary challenge, this was actually raised last week in the Washington Post, the first week in December. Rabbi Michael Lerner of the Tikkun Group recommended that you have to save Obama by mounting a primary challenge to him, meaning Obama is somebody who apparently Rabbi Lerner thinks is not radically evil. I would differ. But he says the way that you've got to keep him honest and hold his feet to the fire and pull him in the other direction, get him into a tug of war so you're pulling him one way, is to mount a primary challenge. So I disagree with the premises, but in terms of the action proposal, Rabbi Lerner is exactly right. This is what we need. And this is not just anybody. Remember, this is one of the people who advised various Democratic campaigns. He was part of the Clinton apparatus and so forth. So it carries a certain authority. Notice, passing, that Obama has gone from being the Messiah, the deliverer, the anointed one, the Mahdi, to being a kind of a vector sum. He's somebody who gets pulled in one direction by reactionary Republicans, and then you say, well, we've got to mount an effort to pull him back in the other direction. The Messiah becomes a vector sum. The Messiah becomes an empty suit. And a lot of these people are saying Obama is a coward, Obama is a wimp, Obama has terrible political skills. This is all true, but a lot of this is by design. The most important thing we have to stress here is that Obama is a figure of demonic evil. He is an active principle of criminal energy, mens rea, criminal intent. He has it. This morning, December 10th, as we record the show, Obama refers in passing in an interview to the need to rationalize and simplify the tax code, to clarify the tax code, says Obama. Oh, this is going to a lot of independents. Maybe it's their turn to be duped, right? We had the left liberals were duped by Obama. The right-wingers were duped by the Tea Party, and now we have the independents are supposedly going to be duped by the new Obama. I don't know. It's not really in the nature of these fussy independents to go whole hog for anything. But God help us. What is likely to happen with this from Obama is an attack on the very few residues of dirigism that we have left in the tax code. For example, this idea of a home mortgage interest deduction. Well, question, do you want to promote home ownership or not? And I think the answer is you do, for many economic reasons, for cultural reasons, to promote the stability of families and so forth. But you can see in the think tanks, right over at the American Enterprise Institute, the Cato Institute, and the arch-reactionary corridors of the Heritage Foundation, they would like to have the United States go back to being a nation of renters because they feel that they can exact a higher level of looting and sacking and primitive accumulation from the U.S. population. So Obama planning to attack the home mortgage interest deduction, which is really a way of saying, let's begin to roll back the GI Bill of Rights from 1944, which established two things. The American middle class has a right to own a home. The American middle class has a right to go to college. The reactionaries say, no, we're not paying for that. We will not be taxed. We will not put up with that. We want to squeeze that part of the American economy and pocket the loot. That's the reactionary position. That's what you'll hear from Congressman Demented, from any number of other of these reactionaries, or better yet, from these think tanks. So we had yesterday evening on the O'Donnell show on MSNBC, right? We've heard about how the lineup on MSNBC is split now into more active anti-Obama elements. We have Olbermann, above all, leading the charge against Obama. Ed Schultz, extremely angry, the working class anger of Ed Schultz, and Rachel Maddow, obviously concerned about don't ask, don't tell. All of them very, very fed up with Obama, very, very enraged. And then you've got the middle position, I guess, from O'Donnell, and then to some extent from Chris Matthews. But a panel on this program yesterday evening featured Rabbi Lerner of Tikkun, Ralph Nader, who had been a presidential candidate, Jane Hampshire of Fire Dog Lake, where we had noted some weeks back the existence of a Dump Obama article, and then the lame duck Congressman Grayson of Florida, right, better known for his rhetorical flourishes than for very much else. And predictably, they all have views, right? Lerner says in particular, Russ Feingold ought to run for president. He says Bernie Sanders could run for president. Hampshire is skeptical that either of them would. Anyway, it's a beginning, and I would simply stress again, any challenger is most welcome at this time. It doesn't matter who it is. Don't worry about the details of the program. We can get to that later. Don't worry about who it is. It probably won't be somebody pure. I can tell you that already. It's very unlikely that this person will have an absolutely clean bill of political health, because there are, after all, so few such people, especially in the Democratic Party. But out of this great mass of unemployed Democrats now, the 70 or so Democratic congressmen and senators who have just been ousted, there ought to be somebody willing to run. And indeed, when I watched this program, I looked at Lerner and I said, Lerner, you should run. And then Nader got the floor, and I said to myself, Nader, this, out of all the times, is the time when you should run. And Hampshire, and Grayson, for that matter, let him run. Let anybody run. And remember, 1968, that the first one who takes the plunge is unlikely to be the last, because the first one will benefit, in spite of whoever they are, from this idea, I'm not Obama, I'm an alternative to Obama, I'm attacking Obama, I'm criticizing him, I'm posing an alternative. It's likely that the first one, if it has any consistency at all, is likely to be very successful. So, and that's when they'll be followed. So Eugene McCarthy is followed by Robert Kennedy. And we'll be back in just a minute.